The first rule was simple: never answer a voice that knows your name. I laughed when I read it. 3 months later, I watched a man peel his own face off because he broke that rule. If you're hearing this recording, then one of two things has happened. Either I'm dead, or Site 17 no longer exists. Honestly, I'm not sure which outcome is worse. Most people think the SCP Foundation isn't real. Trust me, I wish they were right. I joined the Foundation when I was 27 years old. Former military. Former search and rescue. The kind of guy who thought monsters were just stories people invented to explain things they didn't understand. Then I got recruited. No interviews. No advertisements. No applications. Just 2 men in black suits waiting outside my apartment at 3 in the morning. They knew everything about me. My service record. My medical history. The nightmares I'd never told anyone about. One of them handed me a folder. Inside was a single photograph. A cave in West Virginia. The same cave where my brother disappeared when we were kids. A cave nobody else should have known about. The man looked me directly in the eye. Then he asked a question. Do you want to know what really took him? That was 12 years ago. I haven't seen sunlight in almost 6 months. The Foundation assigned me to Site 17. Officially, it was a containment facility. Unofficially, it was where they sent things too dangerous to keep anywhere else. The first thing they gave me wasn't a weapon. It wasn't armor. It wasn't training. It was a sheet of paper. 7 rules. The senior security officer slid it across the table. Memorize these. I glanced down. Rule 1. Never answer a voice that knows your name. Rule 2. If you see a person standing in a hallway facing the wall, do not approach them. Rule 3. If the lights flicker 3 times, close your eyes until the intercom says it's safe. Rule 4. Never enter sublevel 4 alone. Rule 5. If you hear knocking from inside an empty containment chamber, keep walking. Rule 6. Trust recorded footage over your own memory. Rule 7. If someone claims to be Dr. Harlow after midnight, shoot them immediately. I laughed. The officer didn't. Neither did anyone else in the room. That's when I realized something. Every person sitting there looked exhausted. Not physically, mentally, like they'd spent years trying not to go insane. I stopped laughing. The officer leaned forward. These rules exist because people died discovering them. Then he took the paper back. Good luck. My first month was quiet. Too quiet. Most of my job involved security patrols. Checking doors. Monitoring cameras. Escorting researchers. The usual. Nobody talked much. Nobody made friends. Nobody stayed longer than necessary. The entire facility felt wrong. Like a submarine sinking 1 inch every day. Everyone knew it. Nobody acknowledged it. The first strange thing happened on day 31. I was patrolling Corridor C during the night shift. The hallway was empty. At least, it should have been. Halfway down the corridor, I saw a woman standing motionless against the wall. Facing it. Not moving. Not speaking. Just standing there. I immediately remembered Rule 2. If you see a person standing in a hallway facing the wall, do not approach them. Simple. Easy. Except the woman was crying. Softly. Barely audible. I stopped. She continued sobbing. For nearly 5 minutes. Then she spoke. I know you're there. My skin crawled. I started backing away. Slowly. Carefully. The woman laughed. Not loudly. Not violently. Just quietly. Like she knew something funny I didn't. Then she said something that froze my blood. She spoke my brother's name. The one from the cave. The one nobody here should have known. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached security control. When I reported what happened, nobody seemed surprised. One of the supervisors simply nodded. Then he asked a question. Did she turn around? I shook my head. The supervisor looked relieved. Very relieved. Good. That was all he said. Good. I didn't understand why until the next morning. Because the hallway cameras had recorded everything, including something I never saw. At exactly the moment she spoke my brother's name, the woman had begun turning around. Slowly. Very slowly. If I'd stayed another 10 seconds, I would have seen her face. According to the report, nobody who sees her face survives longer than 48 hours. That should have been enough to make me quit. It wasn't. Because curiosity is a dangerous thing. And the Foundation runs on curiosity. The second incident happened 3 weeks later. The lights flickered 3 times. Every person in Site 17 immediately closed their eyes. Every single one. Researchers, guards, scientists, everyone. No hesitation, no panic, just instant obedience. I remembered Rule 3. Close your eyes until the intercom says it's safe. So I did. The facility became silent, completely silent. Then I heard footsteps, someone walking directly in front of me. Slow, heavy, wet. The footsteps stopped inches away. I felt breathing on my face. Something stood right in front of me, watching, waiting. The urge to open my eyes was overwhelming. Every instinct screamed at me to look. Then I heard another sound, a voice, my own voice, whispering, "Open your eyes." The thing repeated it, again and again and again, perfectly mimicking me. I nearly broke. Then the intercom activated. It is now safe to resume activity. The breathing vanished instantly. When I opened my eyes, the hallway was empty, except for wet footprints. Huge footprints, far too large to belong to a human being. And they ended directly in front of where I'd been standing. Like something had simply disappeared. That's when I started understanding why the rules existed. But I still hadn't learned the worst one. Rule 6. Trust recorded footage over your own memory. Because Rule 6 wasn't there to protect us from the SCPs. It was there to protect us from ourselves. And the day I discovered why was the day everything started falling apart. At first, Rule 6 sounded ridiculous. Trust recorded footage over your own memory. What did that even mean? Memory isn't perfect, sure. People forget things. People misremember details. But nobody trusts a security camera more than their own eyes. At least that's what I thought. Then Dr. Mitchell disappeared. 1 minute she existed. The next minute she didn't. Not physically. Conceptually. I know that sounds insane. Bear with me. Dr. Mitchell worked in biological containment. I saw her almost every day. Everyone did. She'd been stationed at Site 17 for 4 years. She was loud, sarcastic, impossible to ignore. Then one morning I walked into the cafeteria and realized nobody was sitting at her usual table. No big deal. People work different shifts. I didn't think much of it. Until lunch. Then dinner. Then the next day. Still no Mitchell. So I asked around. Nobody knew who I was talking about. Not joking. Not messing with me. Genuinely confused. Researchers stared blankly. Security guards frowned. One man actually asked if Mitchell was a new transfer. That was impossible. I'd known her for months. I had conversations with her, shared patrol routes, drank coffee with her. Yet suddenly nobody remembered she existed. Not even her own department. That should have been impossible. But then I checked the personnel database. No Mitchell. No employee file. No work history. Nothing. Like she'd never existed. For a second, I actually questioned myself. Maybe I was remembering wrong. Maybe I confused her with somebody else. Maybe. Then I found the security footage. 3 weeks earlier. Cafeteria camera 12. There she was. Dr. Mitchell. Laughing. Eating lunch. Talking to half a dozen people. The same people who now claimed they'd never met her. I watched 6 hours of footage. She appeared everywhere. Laboratories. Elevators. Hallways. Offices. Hundreds of recordings. Thousands of frames. Undeniable proof. The footage remembered her. People didn't. That's when Rule 6 stopped being funny. I reported everything. The response terrified me. The site director didn't seem surprised. Not even slightly. He simply sighed, then opened a drawer. Inside were dozens of folders, each labeled with a different name, each containing photographs, personnel records, psych evaluations, birth certificates, entire lives. Every person in those folders was missing. Not dead, missing, erased. The director looked exhausted. "How many do you remember?" he asked. I didn't understand. He slid the folders across the desk. I opened the first one. The photo showed a security officer. I recognized him instantly. Officer Ramirez. We'd worked together, except according to everyone else. Ramirez never existed. I opened another folder, then another, then another. By the time I finished, my hand was shaking. I remembered 23 people. 23 people the Foundation claimed no longer existed. The director looked pale. Most personnel remember none. Why do I remember them? His answer still haunts me. Because whatever is taking them hasn't noticed you yet. The room suddenly felt colder. What is taking them? The director didn't answer. Instead, he handed me a flash drive. Watch this alone. That night I did. Worst mistake of my life. The file contained security footage from Sublevel 4. A restricted area nobody entered without authorization. The video showed a maintenance crew performing routine inspections. 6 workers, 3 researchers, 2 guards. Normal, boring, nothing unusual. Then one of the workers looked at the camera. Just briefly. 1 second, maybe less. The timestamp glitched, the image distorted. Then everything continued normally. Except, there were now only 5 workers. Everyone acted like nothing had happened. The remaining workers continued their tasks. Nobody reacted. Nobody looked surprised. Nobody noticed. One person simply ceased existing, and reality adjusted around the absence. I watched the footage 12 times. Each viewing made me feel sick, because if the camera hadn't recorded it, nobody would have known. The worker was gone, deleted, like a sentence removed from a page. Then the recording ended. The final frame contained a message. White text, black screen, 1 sentence. It seized through attention. I stared at those words for a long time. Then my office phone rang. 3 in the morning. Nobody should have been calling. I answered anyway. Big mistake. The voice on the other end was familiar. Too familiar. Hey, my stomach dropped. It was my brother. The one who vanished in the cave. The one missing for 20 years. The one who should have been dead. I couldn't speak. Neither could he. For several seconds we sat in silence, listening. Finally he whispered something. Don't let it notice you. The line crackled. Then he added, it noticed me. The connection died. I sat frozen, unable to breathe, unable to think, because the voice had been real. Not similar, not close. Exactly him. I knew my brother's voice. You don't forget something like that. Not after spending your childhood with someone. The next morning, I pulled every Archive Foundation record connected to disappearances. I wasn't supposed to have access. I did anyway. The deeper I dug, the worse things became. Entire sites had vanished. Entire departments. Entire projects. The Foundation wasn't losing people. It was losing history. Sections of reality were being removed. Carefully, deliberately, like someone editing a document. And at the center of every incident was Sublevel 4. The one-place rule 4 specifically forbade entering alone. I should have walked away. I should have transferred. I should have resigned. Instead, I became obsessed. Because for the first time since joining the Foundation, I thought I might learn what happened to my brother. And that obsession led me directly to Sublevel 4. Exactly where the rules never wanted me to go. The first sign something was wrong appeared before I even reached the elevator. The hallway changed. Not physically, subtly. The dimensions felt wrong. Longer than before. Corners slightly sharper. Distances stretched. The deeper I went underground, the less the facility felt human. Then I reached the checkpoint. Security Gate Delta. 2 guards stood outside. At least, I think they were guards. Their uniforms were correct. Their badges were correct. But something about them felt off. Neither blinked. Neither moved. Neither spoke. They simply watched me approach. Smiling. Tiny smiles. Barely visible. I show my credentials. Neither guard looked at them. One finally spoke. His voice sounded delayed, like audio playing through damaged speakers. You're not supposed to remember. Every muscle in my body tightened. The second guard laughed softly. Then both men returned to silence. As if nothing had happened. The gate opened, and beyond it waited Sublevel 4. The place every rule seemed to orbit around. The place where people disappeared. The place where reality broke. The place where something was waiting. And unfortunately, it already knew I was coming. The elevator ride to Sublevel 4 lasted 4 minutes. According to the indicator. According to my watch, it lasted 23. According to the recording recovered later, it lasted less than 30 seconds. That's the first thing you need to understand about Sublevel 4. Time doesn't agree with itself down there. The doors opened onto a corridor unlike anything else in Site-17. No exposed pipes. No steel walls. No fluorescent lights. The hallway looked almost organic. The walls curved instead of connecting. The ceiling arched overhead like ribs. The air felt warm. Breathing it made me uneasy. like inhaling air that had already been inside someone else's lungs. I stepped out. The elevator immediately closed behind me. When I turned around again, the elevator wasn't there. Just a solid wall. No doors. No panel. Nothing. I was trapped. For the first time since joining the Foundation, genuine panic hit me. I reached for my radio. Static. Nothing else. Then I heard footsteps. Ahead. Slow. Measured. Approaching. I drew my sidearm. The footsteps stopped. The corridor fell silent. Then a voice spoke from around the corner. "You're early. Dr. Harlow." The name hit me instantly. Rule 7. If someone claims to be Dr. Harlow after midnight, shoot them immediately. I checked my watch. 12:14 a.m. My pulse exploded. The voice continued. Calm. Friendly. Come on. I've been waiting. I raised my weapon. Every instinct told me to run, but curiosity won again. I edged forward. Slowly. Carefully. The corridor opened into a large chamber. And there he was. An elderly man sitting at a desk. White lab coat. Gray hair. Reading glasses. Exactly what you'd expect a senior researcher to look like. He looked up and smiled. "I'm Dr. Harlow." My finger tightened on the trigger. The old man sighed. "You people always get stuck on the rules." "Who are you?" I asked. His expression darkened. Then he said something strange. "I used to be Dr. Harlow." The room suddenly felt colder. "What does that mean?" He laughed softly. The sound echoed strangely, like multiple versions of the same laugh overlapping. Then he pointed toward a wall covered in photographs. Thousands of photographs. Researchers, guards, scientists, workers. Every face marked with the same symbol. A black circle drawn over their eyes. My stomach dropped. I recognized some of them. Ramirez, Mitchell, dozens of people who'd been erased. What happened to them? The old man stared at the photographs, then answered quietly. He remembered them. I didn't understand. He seemed to know that. Nobody ever does at first. Then he stood, and I noticed something horrifying. His shadow wasn't matching his movements. The man stepped forward. The shadow remained still. For a full second. Then it caught up, like a delayed recording. I almost fired. The old man noticed. "You should save your bullets." "What?" "Because bullets don't work on concepts." The sentence made no sense. Then again, very little made sense anymore. The old man began walking. I followed despite every survival instinct screaming at me not to. The chamber opened into another corridor. Then another. Then another. The deeper we traveled, the more impossible the architecture became. Hallways connected to themselves. Rooms existed inside smaller rooms. Doors opened into locations that shouldn't fit physically. Reality felt unstable, like a dream struggling to remain coherent. Then we reached a massive observation window. Behind it sat something enormous. Something impossible. At first I thought it was a machine. Then I thought it was a structure. Then I realized neither description fit. The thing filled an entire containment chamber. Dark, motionless, covered in shifting geometric shapes. Every time I looked directly at it, my vision blurred. The edges refused to stay still, like my brain couldn't process what I was seeing. "What is it?" I whispered. The old man looked tired. Very tired. "It's the reason the Foundation exists." The thing moved. Not physically, conceptually. One moment, it occupied one section of the room. The next moment, it occupied all of it, without crossing the space between. My head started hurting. Then I noticed something worse. The containment chamber wasn't containing it. The chamber was protecting us. My mouth went dry. The old man nodded. "You finally understand." "What is it?" For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he answered. "It's a predator." That word seemed absurd. Predator. Like a lion, a shark, a wolf. But this thing wasn't hunting flesh. It wasn't hunting bodies. It hunted something else. The old man pointed toward the photographs. "It eats significance." I stared at him. "What?" "It consumes attention, memory, identity, history." The words sounded insane. Yet somehow I understood. All those erased personnel, all those disappearances, they hadn't died. They'd been consumed. Their existence had been eaten away. The old man continued. "People think being forgotten is a metaphor." He smiled sadly. "For it, that's lunch." My stomach twisted. Then something moved inside the chamber. the enormous shape shifted, and suddenly I realized something terrifying. It wasn't sleeping. It was watching us. Watching me. The old man noticed my expression. Then he whispered, "It knows you remember." The room fell silent. I felt something cold settle into my chest. A realization. Every erased person, every missing employee, every vanished researcher. There were people who had been noticed. People who mattered. People who left impressions. Memories. Connections. The thing fed on those connections. Removing them. Consuming them. Turning lives into blanks. And somehow, for reasons I still didn't understand, I had escaped its attention. Until now, the containment chamber trembled, very slightly. An alarm immediately sounded. Red lights flooded the corridor. The old man's face lost all color. No! The chamber shook again. Harder. Then every screen in the facility activated simultaneously. Every monitor, every display, every terminal. A single sentence appeared. "Look at me." My head immediately began pounding. The old man grabbed my arm. "Don't." The words echoed through the facility. "Look at me. Look at me. Look at me." People started screaming over distant intercom channels. Researchers, guards, personnel, hundreds of voices. Then silence. Complete silence. The old man looked terrified, genuinely terrified. And that's when I realized something. Whatever was inside that chamber had never been fully contained. The Foundation hadn't imprisoned it. The Foundation had merely distracted it. For decades, maybe longer. And now, something had gone wrong. Very wrong. Because for the first time, it wasn't looking at the facility. It was looking directly at me.